Nine Bullets. What an awesome cast.
I know. How lucky am I? I'm just so grateful. Like, our casting director was amazing, and to work with everyone it was just an honor. Like, I think I learned more than I knew I would ever learn, which is the way to go in life.
Yeah. So I understand. Can you share a little backstory about how you guys got the little one, the Wonderful Trouble?
You mean how we got Dean, the little kid?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Trouble, he's referenced in the film, which was
that's so cute. He is wonderful, wonderful trouble. But you know what? I have to tell you, in real life, he's not trouble at all. He's wonderful, wonderful charm and positivity. And, it's like when they first sent me a list of kids, the casting director, Mary Vernew and Brett Howe, go through so many people. And then I get like the finalized list. And when I first saw him, I like fell in love with him. And it was really hard because every kid you kind of fall in love with, right? But there was just something about this kid, and he was nothing I ever imagined. You know what I mean? Like, I just thought, oh, I don't know. I just thought I would like probably get a kid that was tougher at first. You know what I mean? But his vulnerability was so beautiful, and he was so polite. You know what I mean? And so as you keep going and you cut it down and there's 5 left, I remember we were doing what is it called? A chemistry reading with Lena, right? So at the end of the reading, like, Lena had been told about this other kid who was kind of more seasoned, and so I was like, well, yeah, but there's this one kid, and she goes, he's very green, and this is a big movie. And I said, a big part for the kid, not a big movie, we're an indie movie. But and so at the end I go, okay, Lena, let's both text who we want. And we both texted, and we both went, it was the same kid. We both texted each other Dean. So it just was meant to be. And he was so refreshing. I mean, and his greenness was refreshing, you know what I mean? And Lena was amazing, because sometimes she would, like, I would be talking to him and it'd be late, and I go, listen, I just need you to do this a little more, this or that, right? And Lena would, and he'd go, I'm kind of confused. And Lena would go, let me handle it. Because Lena was a mother, right? She has 2 kids, one almost his age. And I would say, oh, let me turn off my phone. And I would say, go ahead, Lena, go on and do it. Like, it was just like a family affair. We all just worked so well together, the cast and me. And, we were just like all collaborative. It was just such an amazing, the shooting was just amazing. Even though we lost scenes, didn't have budgets to do certain action scenes, I felt like we just had to focus on the heart between the woman, Lena Headey, and the kid. And, even though like every story has been told a million times in Hollywood, and, kind of where it's going to go, it's the journey, and it's their relationship that you want to make like delicious and delightful on how, how the movie ends up, you know what I mean? And their journey, because everybody's journey is different in life. So I don't know. I just thought those 2 were just so amazing, and working with Barbara Hershey and Sam Worthington. And I mean, Martin was amazing. Lala Anthony blew me away. Her audition just blew me away, because you think of her as one direction, and she's everything. She can do anything, that woman. And it's just dynamic woman, is a dynamic, amazing woman.
She is. And right now that you're talking to her, I guess I'll jump in on my question for her character, because I read that you had a different ending for her character.
Yeah.
Which I think, from what I read, I think that would be the better ending for her character.
You mean that she dies?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do too. And, it was one of the producers that refused to allow to have a woman die in a movie. And I had written it that way. Lala had been very excited about it, and unfortunately, there's no director's cut on a little tiny movie, that I could show people, but it's such a beautiful moment. So they wanted to leave it more not knowing. And then actually at the end, one of the producers suggested shooting a scene, which I tried to do on reshoots, of Lala, reading a book, and in the book it's dedicated to her. But it was going to run over the titles at the end. And to me, it just felt like another ending, you know what I mean? And so in the actual moment. See, this is what's so great about actors. I think I just worship my actors because they take your stuff and go here. You know what I mean? They take it up another level. It's like Martin Sensmeier. He goes, Gigi, I want to have my backstory that I want to get out of this. I don't want to be a killer anymore. So he plays that moment with Lala with such regret, you know, and if we kept going and we didn't cut, he like pulls her to him. He's kissing her, he's moments from kissing her. And the look between the two is just, I mean, it makes my goosebumps, and he kills her. And, you know, she dies in his arms. It was so cool. So I tried to keep as much of that to the last moment, because she's just, you know, you're all collaborative, and, you know, you have to be respectful. And when you're in my position, you know, as a new director, and so sometimes you lose some babies, you know, and then like Cassian always was the most amazing producer to me. He was so creative. You know, I don't know if you've looked at his resume, you know, he did The Butler, he did Mudbound, like those movies were amazing. And he's just very supportive of the female view, and very supportive of me, because there was some trouble in post, you know, like every movie has. And he came in one day and he goes, okay, I have this idea for the ending, and you're probably going to hate it. And I would like different things, you know, you go, I'm dying on this sword, right? To fight for, I lost the sword with Lala, but I was like, I'm dying on this sword. And it's not from Cassian, right? He's just always been very creative. And he goes, well, I have this idea for the ending. You may die on your sword against me. And I go, let me hear it, you know? And he told me his idea for the ending, and I got goosebumps. I go, this is genius. Let's do it. And so, you know, just things happen like that. Like in the script, I had this whole thing with the rabbi. I don't want to ruin it for people, but the rabbi, and there's a scene, you know, after his sermon where he's having a very hard time with his life, you know, because we never see that side. We always think, you know, the Catholic priest, the rabbi, the Christian minister, everything's great, but you never get to see behind. And so Lena comes back there with the kid and is observing and decides to keep the kid. That's my original script. Okay. But Cassian's like, Gigi, you have it right there. What the rabbi's talking about, you know, from Madame Bovary, you know, where, you know, you too can change. You can change your life. And that's a very strong theme in this movie for me, as well as second chances, because I don't want people to think they're limited. And I feel the world has become more limiting of people. And I think we have to let go of those limitations, let go of ageism, limitations, anything, whether you're female, male, trans, you know, non-binary, binary, all of it, you know. And so Cassian goes, look, it's right in his words. And you're pushing in on the camera, and look what she's doing. She's thinking, I can change. So that's why we went right from there, bam, to out, you know, and the kid's going, where are we going? Where are we going? So, you know, I just think that, you know, there's just, you have to take everything in on a movie and, you know, see where it ends up, because you just never know where it's going to end up and what's going to happen. And you have to hope that when, you know, you lose action. We were shooting during COVID. It was when COVID just came out. Everyone was afraid. You know, the COVID tests probably took a lot of our budget, because it was you know, now they're like more controlled and contained. I mean, this was during the time people were wearing like 5 masks, you know, like big, like thing. Some had, I mean, it was scary. You didn't know. And we shot 205 scenes in 19 days, which is a lot. And which I'm sure you know, and we just had to keep going. You know, there's some moments you don't get to cover as much because you got to make your days, you know. So I'm just grateful and hope that the message resonates with people, that it doesn't matter how old you are, who you are, you could be homeless and you can get a second chance, and you got to keep the hope and be open to that, you know. And like with Lena Headey's character, she thinks it's going to be her book deal. And here it ends up being this little kid who reopens her heart and heals her wounds, you know. So that's what I'm hoping the message is that comes through it, you know, with all that goes on with low budget or independent movies.
You're also the writer, and you had found a little inspiration on Gypsy's character from Gypsy Rose Lee.
Yeah, look at this. This is me at the age of 11 on Gypsy Rose Lee's lap.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's me. And she used to come down, and this is Imogene Coca, which even, no, I mean, you're too young to know, but she was a comic in the era. She was like on Broadway and all this stuff. And she was friends with Gypsy, and so was Bette Davis. And they would all hang out at my mom's house, right? And do crazy things. Like it was so crazy in those days, right? As a little kid, And so Gypsy and Bette are like, smoking, darling, the whole thing. And so Gypsy did say to me, she goes, now, Gigi, all those men, just look at this, your body. But what's really important is what's between your ears, your brain. You've got to develop that. It's so important for women, because when I did my book, my whole life changed. And I don't know if you know anything about her, but like she would fill theaters, like 10,000 seat theaters, never take off her clothes. It was all the illusion, right? It's really cool what the power that this woman had. And so my movie also is about choices and the right choices we make in the world. Like my character Gypsy could have gone, oh, that boy, I have no time. I have a book deal. Fuck it. He's not my problem. Right. And so she made a choice to do the right thing. And what's really important to me, and it's like, it actually affects me because I don't even know where some of these things come from in writing. Like sometimes you just sit down and write and things come in and you go, oh, wow. Like I didn't realize Barbara Hershey's character had a bit of a mother touch with Gypsy, until they're there in the moment. Like, so I'm not one of these writers that are very controlling or directors that control every moment and go, it has to be this way. I am the one that's open for, hey, you tell me what you think. Like, do you have another idea to elevate or escalate this? What am I missing? Is there too much here? Is there too much there? So I'm very collaborative in the story. But yeah, it started with Gypsy, and then it ended up with I had a divorce, from a woman I lived with for 17 years, who's a singer-songwriter who you're probably too young to know, Sophie B. Hawkins. She did a song, Damn, I Wish I Was Your Lover, and As I Lay Me Down, there were big hits. And we had a kid, and then she's in New York and I'm here, and I just was missing Dashiell, our kid, so much. And I just was like, I want to tell him how much he changed my life. It makes me cry. So that's part of it. The little, sorry, I've never cried before. The backstory, of this kid, and that kid, the purity of a child can just change you. You can think you're jaded and you're this way, and, you make the right decision and you open your heart to this kid. And that's what Dean brought into it. The little kid, for me, when I saw him, he just opened my heart all the time. I would just watch him. But so that's how the whole thing came about. It's just little things of your life that are up here in your head, or not even in your head, in the atmosphere, the higher power of you. And it just comes in, and, not everything is perfect. Like there's so many things that go wrong on a set, and, especially during COVID. And I'm grateful that, Gary Pearl took a chance on me, and Mark Damon and Cassian Elways, and, and I just, I hope it touches people somewhere, because it's so easy to find fault with movies. And, that's what I loved about Coda. Coda touched people's hearts. And it was a little movie, like the little David against the Goliath, right? But it touched people's hearts. And that director, and was such a good writer director, and did such an amazing job, so I hope in this climate where we all need second chances, and look at you, you're so young. I mean, you have a whole world ahead of you, and you're in a world where we could have a third world war.
Sadly.
I mean, look what you're going up against, Nancy. Like my heart goes out to the youth, I'm in my 50s. I've had youth without war lurking over, and without hatred, and without all this divide. I mean, so I kind of wanted to make it a little old fashioned, the movie.
Thank you so much for sharing, because in a way it sounds like it's a letter. It's like a love letter to your son about feelings about a parent. It's a love letter to second chances, people that, kind of need it.
Yeah, I never thought of that. That's really brilliant. I wish I thought of that before all my interviews. I would have stolen that. It's a great, you're right, Nancy, you're right on the money, and so you have to look for the good, in things, and where the messages are. And the other thing too is, since this, and about really coming clear about Gypsy making the right decision, right? I actually saw a lady fall 3 weeks ago, and I pulled over and helped her stand up. Now, how many of us keep going when we're late, right?
People.
Yeah. And so I got a lesson from my own movie that I had no idea about, and so it's just interesting. I'm not saying everyone's gonna like pick up a little old lady or man that falls, but you know what I mean? It's just interesting how things affect you. You just don't know. It's all in the subconscious in the world we live. And I just send prayers out to all the youth of the world like you and what you're going through, because I get it. And I think you're right. It was a love letter to my son and second chances and making the right decisions in life.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I could talk to you more, not to mention about your mom, major icon, and the fact that you kind of were inspired by someone from, old Hollywood. To me, that's brilliant. I think that the cinema has lost a lot, and it would be so great to bring a little bit of the old Hollywood.
Yeah, and what those women went through, right? Like they didn't have a Me Too moment. Like I've been asked to write and direct another movie after I do Cassian's next movie called Sweethearts. And it's about Louis B. Mayer, who was the Harvey Weinstein of that era. And I'm just reading the book, and you won't believe what these women went through. Like Judy Garland, as a child, what she had to do. No wonder she did drugs and alcohol. I mean, women have really had to be quiet about it, of all throughout the world. And it's you're right. Old Hollywood laid the way, but they had to be ladies about it. And I think we can still be ladies about it, but we can tell the truth and speak the truth and not have to keep quiet anymore. I think change is based on, well, look at our world. We are changing right now, and diversity is rising, which is so important.
Well, like I said, congratulations. I could talk to you like probably all day, just picking your brain on stuff, but hopefully for the future for your new projects coming up.
Thank you so much. God bless.
You're welcome. Thank you. You take care.
Care.
Bye-bye.